Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back to episode number 3 of the Alpha Male. I am your host, Mr. Bones, and today I'm bringing you a very, very exciting episode. Today we're going to talk about, for the first time on our show, Nightgame. And what is Nightgame? Well, it's very obvious if you don't know already. It is the art of going out in the night at clubs or bars or restaurants and gaming and trying to game on women or groups of women or guys, if you're into that. And so the last couple episodes, we focused primarily on day game, which is so much different. It's 100% different. And over the course of this program, we're going to dive into why it's so different and you need to have a completely different mentality when approaching it. Night game is where I started, and it's my preferred of the two, the gay game and night game. However, I would say night game is so much more challenging than day game in the sense that you can probably get way more phone numbers in the night, like way more, but they're not going to stick. They're very flimsy because, people are kind of high on life. They're kind of drunk. They forget you. They think you have not genuine intentions, which in daytime, you seem more genuine. You seem more real and relatable and believable. And night game is hard to sell. And that's why it's so fun for me, because I love the challenge. And that's where I got started. So today we're going to talk about 4 simple facts to make this a quick episode for you, so it doesn't get too intuitive and too deep, because you need to be able to swallow these pills one at a time. All right, so the first thing we'll talk about is separating yourself from other people. 2, the differences between day game and night game. 3, why night game is so fun. 4, direct and indirect approaches, how to utilize them, what they mean, what situations they do and do not work in. So let's dive right in, guys. I've sitting here in the kitchen drinking some Wild Blue beer, to kind of set the mood, since I usually start with a beer whenever I go out, and roll the background music, a little bit of club music to set the tone. Never hurt anybody. Number 1. Separate yourself from other people in night game. You kind of have to. It's been going on for years, and the thing is, there's a lot of people doing it. There are certain cities across the U.S. that it's not very popular or even heard of, but in places like Los Angeles or New York or Miami, it's everywhere, and you have to set yourself apart from those people. You have to be your own, in a sense, and develop your own style. And there's 4 main psyches of the male mind, and that gets into another topic we'll talk about later, but there are 4 of them. You have to figure out which one you are. Do not make every single trip to the bar a trip to just get women. Okay, because you want to have those nights where you're just with your boys and you're just having fun. Otherwise, this becomes like anything like work, and that's not the goal. Number 2, the differences between day game and night game. Okay, so day game is really genuine and very honest, and there's this very nice guy approach feel to day game. You have to be more real, in a sense, and you can't really use any of the tricky stuff in like you would in night game. You've got to just be very honest, very real, and very true to your intentions, which is the very opposite of what I learned in night game. Day game is pretty simple. I mean, if you follow the basic day game model, the OSFIC. It's 5 steps, and of course there's room for creativity and talk about whatever you want, and you can kind of mix things up in your own way, but there's not a lot of different styles. It's really direct, very direct. Indirect doesn't work very well in your typical day game. Why is night game different? Okay, people are on an elevated state at a bar. They are drunk or they're high on life. It's a Saturday. They're forgetting everything, their responsibilities, and just letting go and having fun. And you need to be that person. You can't be serious in a bar. You can't be Mr. Cool because people aren't looking for Mr. Cool. Mr. Cool thinks he's cool and he's standing there not smiling, holding his drink awkwardly and just scanning the room like a freaking weird animal that no one wants to hang out with or pick to be on their team. Night game needs to have high energy. They say that there's a 3-second rule that when you enter a bar or club, within 3 seconds you need to strike up conversation with someone. They say that basically helps set the right mood for yourself and set the right kind of flow for the rest of the evening while you're there. And this really helps juice up your momentum. Another thing to keep in mind is when you are hanging with your friends, make sure you're having fun and your mind isn't just on getting women because you will subtext communicate that information around the bar. If it's a bar you go to a lot, get to know the people that work behind the bar so that when you come in, they're happy to see you. Be fun. Always be having a good time. Cheers your friends. Always be smiling. Hold your drink down by your waist, not up like you don't know what to do with it. Drink it or hold it. Night game involves the very popular indirect approach, which we'll get to in just a moment. This allows for you to be so creative and stylistic and really develop your style. And this is where you can get really good. Once you have your own style and you learn the techniques. So, let's talk about why night game is so fun. It's an interactive process, whereas day game is kind of, there's a model, and it's kind of, you have to follow these steps. If you don't follow these steps, you're going to have an issue come up, you won't know what to do. And in night game, you can be very interactive, and you can twirl girls and move them from one part of the bar to the other part. Darts, or shuffleboard, or to the bar, or to the dance floor, or to another bar, or to grab some food. It's so interactive, it's so interesting, and you can take things to the bar with you, like maybe a special coin. Or I've even seen guys do magic tricks. I mean, that's not my thing. That sounds really dorky, but it works. That they're mind blown, and you expect this kind of randomness and strangeness at a bar, and it is so cool. And you can really take advantage of people in their elevated state and make them feel as if you are something or someone that's just extremely awesome, right? Exactly. There is one tip I wanted to touch on. It's called the peacock theory, where you walk into a bar and it's full of 100 men wearing the same black tuxedo, and they're all on the dance floor dancing. And there's one guy out there with a top hat and a feather on. Who are you looking at? Well, obviously you're looking at the guy with the top hat and a feather. Now, if he looks dorky or he's acting weird, you'll think he's weird. But if he's having the best time ever, that is the coolest, most interesting guy out there, right? A lot of guys take this theory and they go way too far with it, with like goggles and overalls. It's just so dumb. Okay, the peacock theory could be anything from like a tattoos on your sleeve, or a really cool mustache, or a big beard, or maybe really nice designer glasses or something. And it kind of just, like I said, it separates you from the next guy. And that's really important, I think. Right off the bat, there should be some kind of quality that you possess. Maybe it's a really colorful pocket square, or really nice, interesting shoes no one has seen. To have that natural question, she's going to ask you about that, and then she's investing in you. And it's a really fun theory, and I love it, actually. But some guys take it way too far. But night game is where you can be interactive with the girl and dance with her and twirl her and move her around from place to place and try all these different techniques and tricks. And that's why it's so fun. That's why I really enjoy night game. And it's such a different world. But there's two ways to approach in a club. Okay, there is the direct way, which we use almost always and exclusively with day game, then the indirect game, which is the more popular one and the one you should probably use when you're getting started to hide and suppress your anxiety and nervousness because it makes it easier. It basically involves you approaching maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 girls and hiding your intentions with, girl, I just came over here to get your opinion on something. Or I came over here to survey you guys on a certain question. I work for a magazine. Or do you guys think I look like an NFL star? I keep getting that tonight. Do you guys think I look like a magician? Do you guys think blah, 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 blah? And that makes it where you're not going up and asking to buy them a drink. You're not saying they're pretty. You're hiding your expectations. But then as they start to get excited about the question and debate, that's when you can work your magic and use Kino. Kino is basically where you can use every opportunity you can to give high fives, put your arm around someone's shoulder, ask to see someone's hand and read their palm. You want to get physical, and it brings you into the conversation and into the interaction much, much closer. And indirect isn't as scary as direct. Direct's so ballsy, I mean, especially in a club, because no one is expecting that. You know, you make eye contact with a girl across the bar. A lot of guys will just look away and drink their beer like, I showed her I'm really cool. No, what she thinks is really cool is if you maintain that eye contact until she looks away. And then you go and approach her and tell her, I saw you from over there, and I think you look really nice. Hi, my name is blah, blah. Or if you want to be cheeky and kind of fun, that's really direct, what I just said. But if you want to be kind of cheeky and fun, you could say something kind of like, you can't stare at me like that and not say hello. Hi, my name is Mr. Bones. Right? So it's ballsy, and you kind of have to follow the model at that point. But in certain cases, depending on how she reacts to that, you can actually mix it up quite a bit. But indirect is not as scary. It's not as scary by any means, and it's really fun. And a lot of the times I've been out with friends, and we've kind of mixed it up where they've asked me to do an indirect approach on like a table of 4 girls. And they've made the indirect line, and I had to sell it. And they'll make them kind of difficult, and I can still get them to come over and hang out with us. And it's really fun to do with your friends, and it just shows your social proof. And it's kind of like an adrenaline rush, and it's really, really fun. There is one interesting thing that goes along with indirect approaches. And we call that a false time constraint. This is the last point I'm going to make tonight, and then we'll dive into some more night game tips and tricks. But basically, if you're going to approach a girl, usually in terms of the indirect approach, you are going to want to immediately, or at least in the first few 15, 20 seconds, say, I've got to get back to my friends, or I've got to go soon. Because there are going to be cases where you're going to get a bitch, or you're going to get someone who's not in a good mood, and they're going to say, fuck you, no matter how good you are. And as long as you have already set the expectation that I've got to go, I can't be here very long, you can re-say that to them. Like I said, I've already got to go. Have a nice night. You never want to be a dick. You never want to stoop to their level, because you're better than that, and you're a fun, happy, genuinely cool, rooted guy. And this podcast is coming up on 15 minutes, guys, so I'm going to cut this short and just reiterate some of the things they said. Night Game is a very high elevated, emotional experience where everyone's having fun, and you can be very tricky and crafty. And you need to be having fun. You need to have a great time and show yourself. Separate yourself from other people. And don't make every time you go out a trip to just get women. Have fun. Bring your bros. Have a good time. The differences between day game and night game are day game is a very honest and true situation where you're very upfront, very direct. Night game is much, much, much more interactive. Okay, guys? You can do a lot of things like dance with her, twirl her, like magic tricks, weird stuff like that. That's just really fun. Really fun. Bless me. And then direct approaches are what we use in day game. Indirect approaches are the go-to for newbies.
kind of hiding your intentions in a crafty way. And next week, guys, we're going to dive in to some of the really fun indirect lines that I've used in the past, and I'm going to give you guys a actual story about my most ballsy pickup ever. And I think you guys are going to really dig that. Last week, we actually talked about 20 texting tips and how to get over anxiety. So if you haven't checked out that episode, give that episode a listen. And to all my friends in the greater Indianapolis, Indiana area, my name is Mr. Bones. This is the Alpha Male, and I'll see you next week. Have a good day.